Hello everybody and welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be talking about The Wheel of Time Season 2. As of recording this, the finale for Season 2 is 2 days away and I am very excited for it. I wanted to talk a little bit about my thoughts about Season 2 before I get into making videos for it because I haven't started yet. And the reason why I haven't started was I wanted to finish all of my stuff for Season 1 that I had planned before I got started on Season 2. And unfortunately, because of life, I wasn't able to make the deadlines that I was hoping to make. But I got everything done now. And now it's time for me to take a look at Season 2, give you my thoughts on Season 2. With the finale only being 2 days away and having already watched the first 7 episodes, I have to say that Season 2 has been absolutely fantastic for me. I have loved every minute of it. I know that there is a couple of plot lines, one specific plot line that people haven't really enjoyed very much or thought that it was kind of useless and pointless, and there were some decisions within there that are very questionable, but overall I have enjoyed all of the plots that they have going on, all of the characters that they're following. Everything has been very well done. I like the fact that they're pulling a lot from book 2, they're pulling some from book 3, they're pulling a bit from book 4, and they're mixing it all together, and they're still telling a coherent story. The plot threads that they have going on are making sense and they're coalescing in fantastic ways. The changes that they've made on the first watch of this season, I haven't had any issues with any of the plots, with any of the changes that they made the way that I did with the first season. So a good example of what I'm talking about is in the first season, they spent a lot of time in Tar Valon, focusing on not just the Aes Sedai and the Aes Sedai Tower politics, but also on the Warders and what's going on with them as well, especially Stephen going through that whole tear-jerking episode. I do just want to take a moment to say that some of the stuff that's happened in Season 2, it makes a lot more sense why they spent so much time focusing on the Warders, the Warder Bond, and things like that in Season 1. At the time that aired, I enjoyed those for what they were, but I didn't really see how they fit in with everything else that was going on and everything else that was going to happen. But with Season 2, the changes that they've made from where they left off of Season 1, it seems like a lot of the changes they made to how Season 2 began made complete and total sense. The only thing that I kind of have a complaint with about that, like from the season finale of Season 1 to the opener for Season 2, was all the people that were stabbed. I mean, I guess they're okay. At least one of them is okay. Or a couple of them are okay, because I think they were all stabbed, and yeah. But I don't remember them mentioning it or talking about it or anything like that. And it was just kind of, we just picked up with everybody 5 months later, and they're all completely healed and ready to go off on the adventure for this season. So I thought that was kind of odd. I understand why they did it, but at the same time, did they really need to do that with Season 1, with what happened and how it happened? Which brings me to something else that I wanted to talk about, and that is that a lot of the people that I have seen doing reviews for the show and talking about the show and complaining about the show, they all are linking the show directly to the book, meaning they're expecting what happens in the book to exactly happen in the show, or if not exactly, it has to be very close, and everything has to follow the same rules that the books do. And a good example of what I'm talking about is there's 2 really good examples, and one of them is Logain in the first season, and this was something that I had issue with when the show first aired. So in the episode 4, where Logain is captured and the army comes to get him at the end, he sees Nynaeve channel He sees it so much and it's so bright for him that he has to shade his eyes. In the books, men cannot see women channel. This is never stated directly in the show. What is stated is that women cannot see men channel, and that's something that's also in the books. So as I'm watching this, I'm just assuming that the way the magic system works in the books works the same way in the show. But obviously that's not the case. Logain was able to see Nynaeve channel. He was able to see the big bright light, the explosion of power that happened. He even comments on how it's brighter than the sun or brighter than 1,000 suns, something along those lines. I had an issue with that because that's not how the system works in the book. And it wasn't until I rewatched it the second or third time that I realized that no one ever talks about the way men experience channeling in the show. They always talk about it from the women perspective because at that point, Logain is the only male channeler that we know of. That was a change that once I realized that happened because of my assumption based on what I knew about the book, I was able to re-watch everything, taking the show just as it is. What happens in the book is not, or the way things are set up, the rules that are set up in the book are not exactly the same as they are in the show. And that's something that I think a lot of people are missing when they are talking about the Wheel of Time, and you hear people complain about it and it sounds like they're nitpicking something about the magic system or about why characters do things or something like that. Is a lot of it's being informed by what happens in the books and the way that we have read the books and grown up with the books and just experienced the books. So that's something that I had to keep in mind as I rewatched the first season. And the second season, I've gone in with that exact mindset. Like, it's its own thing, and it needs to be internally consistent. And is it? Is it internally consistent? And I'm going to circle back to that in just a minute. This is another thing. This is another problem that I have with the book and with the way season 1 ended and the way season 2 ended. And it stems from the exact same thing. In the book, the way the dagger works that Matt took from Shadar Logoth and Fane stabbed everybody with at the end of season 1, in the books, that works in a very specific manner. There's a lot to that dagger. It's in the books, it's a lot more evil than they've shown it to be so far. This is, the way that I think about this is going to depend on what they actually do with a dagger. If it's just a random dagger and they're not going to do the whole plot line in the book or from the book, then yeah, I'll have to get used to it. But it's something that I think that could work in the show. And as long as they keep it internally consistent, I think that'll be... I think it could be something that might be worth a watch. Because I'll be honest, Pat and Fane in the show, oh my god, so much better than the book. So much better than the book. I love Pat and Fane in the book. He is a right evil bastard in the book. And the way he is in the show, the actor just brings that charm every time he's on screen. I wish that they would do more with him in season 2. Like, he's had a few scenes here and there, but yeah, he's just, he pops in, he pops out. I wish there was more Pat and Fane. I can't help it. So being internally consistent, it's something that it needs to be internally consistent within the show, but it doesn't have to be necessarily consistent with what happens in the book. So if you have read the books and you're watching the show and you're upset about the changes and things like that are made, just understand that a lot of changes had to be made because it is a TV show. The books informed those changes, but just because something is one way in the book doesn't necessarily mean it has to be that way in the show. And that is something that I think a lot of people tend to forget when they're doing these types of reviews. And don't get me wrong, like, I watch all these guys because I think they're great. Like, I wouldn't have been started making these things if it wasn't for people like Nameless, Daniel Green, Lesby Nerdy, the Dusty Wheel, even Wheel Talks, which, yeah, I just like a lot. And there's a lot of other people that make content regarding the Wheel of Time as well, but a lot of it I think is, a lot of the negativity that I hear isn't necessarily because the show itself is bad, but it's because the show itself is doing things differently than the books. The rules that the show is setting up for its magic system and for things going on in the world are different than what they were in the book. With all of that being said, I am still super excited for season 2. The finale is later this week. I will be doing something for the finale. I'm not exactly sure what yet. I have really been enjoying season 2. I have liked the changes that they have done. It was so good seeing the characters that have shown up for season 2, like Bail Doman, who is in the first book, but he didn't show up until season 2 of the show. The actor was great. I'm looking forward to seeing if he appears again in the season. I love what they're doing with Varen. Varen in the book is a great character. As the books were coming out, there was a lot of speculation about what was going on with Varen based on some of the things that happened, and I'm looking forward to see non-book readers have some of those same discussions, because it really looks like they're trying to set up some similar stuff with Varen, and I really hope that they do. A couple other things that I want to mention is that one of the Brown sisters, unfortunately I can't remember her name, but one of the Brown sisters that Varen was talking to in the last couple of episodes is the actress is Katie Leung, I think. I'm sorry if I mispronounced that or if I have the name wrong. It's the actress that plays Cho Chang from the Harry Potter series, which I heard the voice. I was like, wait, that sounds really familiar. And I looked it up, and yeah, that's who it is. And at the opening of episode 7, the cold open, Gitaro Moroso, the lady that gave the prophecy, that is Haley Mills. And if you don't know who Haley Mills is, she was in the original Freaky Friday. She was like the original Lindsay Lohan pre-drug thing going on with Lindsay Lohan. She was like that, but like back in the 60s for Disney. Like she was everywhere. She did a lot of their movies. But yeah, she was in the original Freaky Friday. She was in the original Parent Trap. And seeing her play that character, I'm ecstatic. Like growing up, I loved the original Freaky Friday. I loved the original Parent Trap. They were some of my favorite movies to watch and rewatch over and over again when I was growing up. And the fact that they got her to be in the show, even for such a small scene, a small but pivotal scene, I thought that was great. So listen, if you've been watching season 2, in the comments below, why don't you let me know if you've recognized any of the actors or actresses from other places like that. And I hope you've been enjoying season 2 as much as I have. Yeah, with that, I don't really have anything else to say. I'm not really sure how to end this. I guess I'll do the typical YouTube thing and say like, share, subscribe. Join me later this week or as soon as I can get it out. My thoughts on season 2 finale and season 2 as a whole. In the meantime, I appreciate everybody joining me, and by all means, have a nice day.